Shadow's House is without a doubt one of the more intriguing concepts I've seen for a story in 2021. There's an aura of mystery that's constantly there. And for me watching the episode, before we even got to the whole shadow situation where it was kind of like a standoff, and even after the credits, there's some insane visuals to get your mind racing. Watching an episode that's best summed down to as a slice of life, it's a darker slice of life where a bunch of living dolls who really feel like humans are being treated as, inanimate objects that just serve as a face for these shadowy figures, the shadow family. Watching an episode like this, I was constantly waiting for the shoe to drop. I was waiting for something explosive to happen. But I also recognized that it could just be my assumptions of how anime and these types of stories go, because sometimes you'll just have a premise where it's a shadow family and nothing crazy will happen. It's very easy to write something like that, even though the viewer and readers experiencing it may want to say, oh no, something crazy is going to happen. But I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised with Emilako's reaction when she started to question, what is the Shadow's house? What is the Shadow's family? And the reactions of fear. It makes me happy because while it would be a good show simply to have a slice of life like this, it's interesting, it's fun. How much could we really discuss week by week if there wasn't some sort of mystery keeping us there? And they honestly answered my question, what is Shadow's house? While sure we don't know anything about it, the fact that a living doll like Emiliko, who's basically the face of Little Miss Failure as she's told by, I think her name was Sarah in this episode, there's a lot going on and I'm very interested to see more. They actually kind of explained quite a bit about the functionality of the Shadow family. The whole idea that once the living doll is more comfortable with her duty, she'll go outside the room that she serves and actually help with a ridiculous amount of people. I mean, there's a shot in this episode where you see multiple dolls like on the beam supporting like the walls and the roof. And it's like, how far up there and why are they so small? What is the purpose of having a building this ridiculously large? And why have this happen? Like, if you're able to go this far to seemingly create dolls as your face, why don't you do something to maybe correct your own? Is it considered a disfigurement, or is that just what they're proud of? There's so many things happening, and there's something mysterious going on with Kate, and I think my biggest mystery coming out of this episode is this Kate's first doll, because it feels like there's something weird going on with the way the Shadows family perceives Kate as this failure. And I'm wondering if there's been multiple dolls who she's tried to, have, because she's saying, like, you don't choose your face, the face is what's given. So is this her first face? Please no spoilers. This is just like me just taking a look at this episode and trying to figure out. And if this is her first face, why is she already considered a failure? Is it because it took so long for her to get one? Is she a failure because all of her faces don't behave? Because we see in this episode, the character who was sweet, innocent, nice, surrounded by all these other dolls, she was kind of a bitch. It's probably the nicest way to put it. She perfectly mirrors that of her master, and whatever action she does, she mirrors, and whatever emotion she has. So it feels like the purpose of these dolls not only is to give a face to a shadowy figure, it's to perfectly capture what human emotion is and have no personality of your own when you're with your master, at least in public. And I mean, the fact that there's a threat that's given towards her, saying like, hey, you better be thankful that I'm the one you bumped into, I won't tell anyone, but it could have been a lot worse. The talk of the shadow grandfather, like, I don't know, but this is getting interesting, especially considering that I think the title for episode 3 is something about a illness or something like that. There's a lot of things that are going through my mind, and the fact that an episode mostly dominated by cheerful dolls, cleaning, dusting, came out to be honestly kind of horrifying. That's what I like to see. I think when Cloverworks has material to really work with in the horror realm, they do a pretty good job with it. I mean, Promised Neverland Season 1, you can say whatever you want about Season 2, but Season 1 was a masterpiece of a horror direction, and honestly, Shadow's House, for not having as many maybe like typical jump scare and frightening moments as you're used to, I would say because it's so infrequent, it makes those dramatic close-ups a lot more frightening, because rather than a simple boogie monster popping out, you're more fearful of the head of a family and what they can do for you if this is considered nice in terms of how Kate was just treated. I mean, it's understandable why she doesn't leave her room, but I thought it was sweet the fact that she did leave her room because Emilko did fall out after trying to treasure something that she made. It's kind of interesting too about the whole stuffed animal situation, the fact that that actually pissed her off, She did like admit to her mistakes. I didn't tell you not to touch it, so I can't really blame you. But in the moment, the fact that it got wet, it made her so enraged that literally the soot wouldn't come off the ceiling, and it didn't come off until she was happy and relieved. There's so many things going on with the ashes and like the angsty kind of like shadowy figures. And the fact that you end the episode after the credits and you just see these handprints all over this girl's room, like, I don't understand. And it almost feels like, based on if this is seriously what the family is, if these shadowy figures are horrible, horrible people in terms of how they interact with each other, what if Kate is Little Miss Failure because she's kind of more nice or something? I don't know. Like, there's so many things happening and kind of going through my head. But the relationship between Kate and Emilico, it feels like two very separate people, but apparently if we're to take what happened in the courtyard there seriously, they're supposed to just be a face, not a person. And I feel like because of Emilico's curious nature, whatever this test may be, eventually when she gets introduced properly to people, I don't think it's going to go over well and something bad could happen. I don't know, like, there's just so many questions, and I love how this is clearly a show that kind of sprinkles the mystery to you. Maybe there'll be a minute in an episode, maybe there'll be a handful of minutes that'll get your mind racing. But even when you're watching a doll clean a room, you're always questioning, why is this happening? And why does the Shadow family look like this? And what is the purpose of the Shadow's house? There's got to be more than meets the eye, because seriously, like, the idea of a living doll being seemingly human, they're literally identical as the shadowy figures we see, yet apparently they're the doll and they're human. It's like, what is going on? I love the mystery. I love the intrigue that this series gets your mind racing. And yeah, I mean, I said in my first impressions, I think this is a dark horse. I think this is going to be a show that might get slept on by a lot of people, especially considering how packed Saturdays are. But I think this is a show that could have some of the most intriguing world development that the season is going to see. A shadowy house with a shadowy family that are using seemingly dolls to do their bidding. There's got to be more than meets the eye, and if this episode is any indication, I think by the time we leave the first season, I mean, probably it's going to blow our minds. I still think the opening and the ending are just fantastic. I have seen a lot of people say that they thought the ending should be the opening and the opening should be the ending, but still, I just think like that instrumental opening just, you know, it makes you creeped out, but it's a weird energy type song, and then you leave with the ending song. It's like, it's such an interesting, where the opening of the music, it makes you a little creeped out, but intrigued. The ending music makes you energetic and excited to see more. And I think it's done purposely like that because you're supposed to be a little creeped out watching the episode, and maybe by the time we finish an episode, we're actually horrified, so they need an ending song to kind of uplift us and be like, no, you want to come back for more. I'm not sure if that's the direction they're going or if I'm reading too much into it, but it works flawlessly like that for myself. So I'm really excited for more, and honestly, I might say I'm more intrigued for more episodes after episode 2 than even the first episode. In comparison, I think episode 2 makes episode 1 seem slow, but episode 1 is still such a great introduction to this fascinating world. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. What are your thoughts and theories on what's going on, and do you think Kate and Emilico are definitely the oddballs in this world, or do you think there's a lot more going on than meets the eye? If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you're happy new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.